you today. We're waiting a couple of minutes before we get started. As we're waiting, if you can do me a favor and answer the question, what company are you with and how many articles are you currently producing per month? That would be very helpful. We have a few more people joining, so we're going to wait a minute here before we get started. Thank you. So I'm really excited to show you guys today what we built. The context of this platform was more or less done in 30 hours. So we did have an incredible vibe coding session. I believe it was either LA Tech Week or SF Tech Week, as most of you who are familiar names I'm seeing here had attended that session, and there was a lot of excitement there. So what we ended up doing is we wanted to kind of expand upon and show what you are fully capable of doing these days in terms of vibe coding and how you're able to build custom software and custom apps. So that's what the context of today's webinar really is going to be about. So let's get started. So how long does it take your team to go from we need an article about X to actually get it published, SEO optimized piece? Not just the writing, we're talking about the whole process here. This includes everything from doing the research to really understanding the competitive matrix, looking at analyzing the articles that you have already written. So you are aware and you're content aware of what has already been published, and then being able to figure out what that piece will look like, writing it, and then at that point, publishing it. Okay, so I want you to think of that problem. And for most teams who typically write, what we just talked about is can be anywhere between 2 to 8 hours. So let's break it down on the 2 to 3 hours spectrum, right? So what that means is 30 to 45 minutes of it is really spent on research and competitive analysis. And what people really do here is they use Ahrefs, or they might use SEMrush, or they might go and research a keyword or a topic, then go and see who's actively written about it. On top of that, they might read those articles, figure out how they can be unique in this space, what is their voice, and how does this also apply to their overall content strategy. Then from there, they will outline and put together a strategic plan on how to write the brief. It's usually a campaign brief. And then this is where most AI tools do really well, is once you provide all of this data back into any, let's say from Claude to as well as OpenAI, they're able to get a really good draft out the door. Then they have to go in and ensure it's SEO optimized. And then lastly, they'll review and edit, create imagery, and publish it. So what we just talked about here for most writers today, at best, can be anywhere between 2 to 3 hours. What we're about to show you is how we were able to take this particular problem that existed and think through how we can improve upon it. So what we did is we really looked at it and we framed this, right? We said there is a judgment layer, which is what the humans currently do. And what this really means is where most of the time today is going, it's at the research phase, the strategy phase. And it really is about what are we going to write? How are we going to structure it? What type of article are we going to produce? Is it going to be a listicle? Is it going to be an how-to? What angle are we going to take that's going to be along the lines of our current existing brand voice? It's going to speak to our customer personas. It's going to be aware of all of the articles we have already written and what did our actual competitors miss on this topic that could potentially be relevant. So this becomes sort of the judgment layer that all writers today do. The second layer, which is the execution layer, is what all AI tools do really, really well, right? So this includes everything from ChatGPT to Claude to Jasper to Copy AI. All of them have kind of figured out how to automate this section, be able to write a really good, strong first draft. It does sound sometimes like AI generated, but if you give it brand voice, if you give it proper structure. It's able to more or less get to a decent first draft. Then when you can come in and you can edit it and get it to this next stage. But all of the tools are missing this upper layer, which is really the judgment layer. So we built something a little bit different, right? So we said, okay, if we look at first principles and we took all of our current SOPs and we looked at all the content that we were producing, we looked into the marketplace and we said, overall, how do we solve for that judgment layer? And we break it down and we say it's the research and strategy phase. And then also what we call the content intelligence platform or the CIP, which is also aware of every other article we have written for this particular site and this particular topic. And this is where we really zoned in on and we started researching and see if there was tools out in the marketplace that actually did this. And unfortunately, there wasn't. So this became one of those classic problems where we wanted to buy a tool out in the market, but it just wasn't there. So we decided, why don't we try to build it? And why don't we use the latest tools from Cursor to MCP, and as skills became available from Claude Code, how do we utilize all of this great technology that's available today? And what can we actually get to on a production quality platform or a SaaS platform that we can utilize for our own internal processes? And that's what we're going to demo out today. Okay. So before we do that, we would like to put up our first poll. So if you guys can answer this question, what does your content process look like? Is it A, it's all manual, you have to research and you write by hand, which is still okay, by the way, especially if you're doing a lot of thought leadership pieces and unique articles. That is a great approach and a great technique to take. Or is it a mix of AI tools and manual editing? So you might use the tools, you might be able to get a first draft out, but you still need to go back and you need to edit it. Or is it just, you know what, I figured out the right context to provide. I'm able to produce a bunch of AI generated content, and then I can go back in and I can revise and re-edit it, which to be honest is where we were at as an agency. And then lastly, is it fully outsourced? Are you actively working with a writer or an agency and so on and so forth? So if you could take a second and answer this poll, that'd be very helpful. So let me kind of jump into the demo. I'm going to do two things today. I'm going to walk you through the platform we built. I'm going to walk you through the different integrations, and then I'm going to kind of show you how it works overall. Okay. So let's jump into it. So here's our platform. What you see here is the local version, and then here is the production version. So I'll kind of walk you through all of that. It allows you to have different projects and so on and so forth. It also allows you to create different user organization accounts. You can build out different templates if you wanted to at the organization level. What a template is a way of creating different content pieces from ultimate guides to listicles to how to comparison articles to case studies and even product reviews. You're able to define what the word count should be, or should it be professional, and so on and so forth. So it has this organizational level template structure that you can apply across the board. Also within your settings, you can invite your different team members to be able to partake on it. And on top of that, you're able to create different projects. It has a content library that's able to go and crawl your site. It's able to see what articles have been written. You're able to quickly search those articles and get a sense of what you wrote about that's related to SEO if you wanted to. When it says it's internal, that means the content platform wrote it, this tool specifically. If it says it's external, that means it's live on your current website and so on and so forth. So it's actually aware of articles you have that are live on your site. Every 24 hours, it's crawling the site looking for new articles to be able to put it here. And here you could also see if any articles have been removed or haven't removed, and so on and so forth. So this is the content intelligence or content library component that's aware of articles in platform and also articles externally outside of it. In addition to that, at the project level, you're able to set different things. One is, what does your business do, right? So you're able to put together context of what your website is, what overall your company description is, what industries you're kind of focused in. You're also able to create a brand voice. So you're able to put in exactly how you want your articles to be written, if you want any modifiers, things you should do in the brand voice, things you shouldn't do, and kind of examples. On top of that, you're able to create different audience profiles of who you are targeting and who are you writing to. And then you're able to create different content preferences. So, and what you should say and you shouldn't be able to say. And lastly, you're able to create project level templates. Earlier, I showed you account level templates, but here I'm showing you at the project level where you're able to create different templates that you can utilize to produce the content. Okay. Now, in addition to that, we follow sort of a content cluster organization strategy. So what this really means is sort of the pillar and spoke model. So you're able to quickly kind of go through and you're able to say, hey, this is the pillar, and that I want to write about, and these are the different articles. And then you're able to go into that and create different articles around that, right? So, and this also follows sort of a flow that I'm showing you here. Everything from initial research and phase, it's a 14-step flow where you're able to research, you're able to pull in competitor research. In this scenario, we pulled out the top seven that were ranking on Google for this particular search term. It went through and read all of those seven articles. And if I kind of expand, it shows you the headings of those articles. If there was any stats used in it, it actually fact checked it for you. So if it saw a different fact, it went back and verified if this fact is actually accurate or not accurate. And then in addition to that, it gave different examples. What was the angle used in this particular article? And what was overall its summary? So in this particular, this was something wrote by 16 Ventures. And then from there, it's able to kind of see overall what's going on. So then it summarizes it all of up. It writes different article, how many articles are read, how many headings, and so on and so forth, different brands. In this stage, you can then move on to the outline creation stage. So what that does is it overall puts together a summarized outline for you, including the meta title, meta description, URL slug recommendation, all unique based off of the articles you have already written. So keep that in mind, right? So in our scenario that I'm showing you here, we had well over 2,000 articles we've written for the agency. So it is content aware using the content intelligence platform. So it's making sure that we're writing something new and unique and we're not going to have duplicate content. And it puts together an outline already structured following SEO best practices. So that's another thing that this tool has done. It's gone through and it's read all of Google's EAT rules, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. It's also gone and read Google's patents, and it's ensuring that it's following all the traditional best practices to writing an SEO optimized article right out the gate. On top of that, it creates an FAQ section for you, so it could be included in the article. And then in addition to that, it'll give you an idea of what is the CTA and what you're trying to build and overall the added values, right? So once you're at this stage and you can kind of jump into the next stage, which is actually writing the article. I'm not going to rewrite it because this one already has one written for you. And then it'll kind of use the models, it'll produce the content, it'll allow you to come in and manually edit it using a what you see, what you get editor, right? And so you're able to quickly come in, revise it, fix the article, and so on and so forth. So here's the full from beginning to end. In our local, we also have it integrated into our WordPress site. Then you're able to, at this stage, be able to post and have it automatically go to WordPress. We are adding additional integrations as well. We're going to tap into Google Search Console, so we're able to see current articles that are written, how are they performing, what type of impressions are they getting, what type of overall clicks are they getting, and then be able to re-optimize those articles to go back in and review and edit and be able to uh, modify them so they actually start ranking and start improving. So I know I went through a lot there and I showed different steps in the process, Wanted to take a minute before we continue on to ask another call. Okay. So if your team could 3x content output without hiring, what would you do with that additional capacity? So A, would you publish more frequently on existing topics? B, expand into new content categories? C, focus writers on higher quality flagship pieces? And D, reduce content costs and agency spend, right? So take a moment and answer this poll and let me know how you would overall utilize this new capability of being able to not only produce content faster, but of higher quality and ensure that the judgment layer is being handled in a proper way. And it's not one of those that writers are getting just tired of doing after a certain period and kind of are skimming through that process. So if you can answer this question, that'd be great. What you guys are doing, let me grab some water. All right, great. So we started building this, I want to say, what is this, February 12th? So we started building this right after Thanksgiving. So it was December 1st. From beginning to end, we worked on it for about an hour a day, so 30 days, a total of 30 hours. We used Cursor as the primary IDE. We set up a workflow with different agents. Predominantly use Sonnet 4.5 as the main base of programming and writing the code. Everything was vibe coded. What we did is we created sort of a BRD agent that wrote the business requirement documents and also did a really good job of asking the tough questions and doing the research and seeing what the competitor mix had in the market. It also analyzed our internal SOPs, and with that, it put together a BRD, a business requirement document. The second phase of what we did is we produced what's called a PRD, a product requirement document. We created an agent that was also a world-class product manager. And this agent did the same thing, took the BRD and started asking us some tough questions to get clarity and get sort of what I just showed you, which was MVP in phase one, in order for us to be able to build out this initial MVP in 30 hours, right? So we said we want to spend 1 hour a day and for 30 days to build out the MVP, and we use that as the context of what we were able to build. Then we put together an engineering manager, which was the best world-class engineer, and he took the PRD, converted it into a TDD, a technical design document. He was able to break everything down. We then added a UI UX designer. That came later in the process, as you could tell, because we still need to improve upon that. But overall, that designer is now going back and reading all of the different requirements and the epics and the flows, and it's overall starting to put a design system together, which we are continuously improving upon that process. So that was a learning, by the way, post after all of this, that hey, maybe we should have done that earlier in the process. And then lastly, we integrated everything into Git, so GitHub particularly, and we started creating issue tasks and started creating different workflows and automatically started spending that 1 hour a day, having the engineering manager work out with different developers, both front-end developer and a back-end developer. These are actual agents that I'm talking about, and where the engineering manager would communicate with them and figure out an exact sprint flow. Sprints, which normally would have been, let's say, 5 or 7 days, in this scenario were actually 1 day sprints. The engineering manager was able to kind of really quickly figure out what to work on and have 2 or 3 different concurrent chats occurring, building back-end systems, building front-end systems, and also on top of that, layering in security and unit testing. So that's how the system overall was built. Now, what has happened since building the system, right? So we've had our internal team, only internal at this point, start using it. And what we're noticing is where in the past it would have taken us 2 to 3 hours to produce an article, it's actually taking us 20 minutes now, right? So we've become 10x faster. What does this mean? Really, it means that we are able to reduce costs of production for our clients. We're able to produce a lot more high quality content. And really, it's only at API costs at this point, right? This is even an overstatement in how much API costs are. So it's even a fraction of this, especially because now the local LLM models are getting really, really good as well. So there's an argument to be made that this could eventually go down to zero once we move the local models onto the platform itself too. Now, on top of that, we're producing a lot more content, right? So if you kind of built this out, we're able to get over 3x content production, which would, in theory, allow us to write about topics that historically we just didn't get to or didn't have time to be able to write about. In addition to that, if this was for an agency like ourselves, we're able to produce more high quality content and be able to make sure it's SEO optimized out of the gate, to be even make sure it's even geo optimized out of the gate. So we're able to produce a stronger value for our clients as well too. So we did a blind quality test, right? So we took several articles that we had written, we kind of showcased it to some of that were manually done, some of that were AI assistant. We showed it to a few of our different clients. And what we kind of noticed overall, the AI assistant ones had a lot better depth of research already done. They were much more comprehensive, so they performed a lot better than the manually written one. They were structured more properly, so they were already out the gate following SEO best practices. But where they struggled was still at the brand voice, right? It did still sound a little bit AI generated, even with all of the safeguards we put into place. So there's still room to improving that component of it. The later models have gotten better, specifically with the Claude models, but it still is not as clean as polished, and it doesn't have the capabilities that a human writer, a really strong one, does. So that's where the human oversight is really critical and important, is to step in and make the nuances that make someone's voice stand out more. And so this is why we always believe that human is really important to be in the loop, but it could definitely outperform in the three here, right? The research, the comprehensiveness, and the SEO structure. Now, what we kind of have learned and what we're going to let you know off the bat, right? So at the end of the day, all AI draft created content is going to need human editing. This is not going anywhere, right? So you are going to have to spend a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes, read through it, make sure the brand voice does make sense, make sure the examples that it's referencing are real examples that you yourself are proud to be writing about, right? You still do need to do a secondary check, even though our system does do a fact check for you, even though our system does go and crawl and verify that it's an original source. I still do highly recommend that you do whatever it's being cited, do a check against it. And then at the end of the day, read it. And are you proud of does this represent your voice? Does this represent who you are? And if it's not, work through it, right? So continue revising it and editing it. One of the things that we're building into our platform is its capabilities to continue reading the articles, especially post-edit, and ensure that the brand voice that it's referencing is getting refined and updated so future articles become better and much more cleaner. In addition to that, it's really important to spend some time and doing really good research, right? In the top 10 articles, at the end of the day, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So the platform itself is looking at the top 10 articles. It's assuming Google has done a good job of verifying and putting quality out, but that's not necessarily true all the time, right? That there might be better articles, better research, that they're just not getting the SEO love today, or they're not getting the impressions that are really valid. So you might have better articles that you've seen in your own human research or come across on social that you think is a good example of how you would like your articles to be written. It's totally fine to be able to utilize that and reference that. This also doesn't replace your content strategy. So what do we mean by that? So you still have to believe and want to write about certain contents, right? So it has to be aligned with your overall business objectives of what you're trying to achieve. This is not really about, hey, let me go write about everything under the sun. At the end of the day, does the content that you're producing and writing fit overall to who your organization is trying to achieve? What results does it speak to the pain points that your customers are struggling with? And how are you helping them solve that, right? So at the core of this, content strategy is still critical, and it's still really important to ensure that every piece that you're producing and you're putting out there, you're speaking to your actual ICP and you're solving a specific problem for them. And then what really it does well here is what I would consider like top of the funnel content, right? So awareness, informational, educational, the in general AI generated content does really, really well there if provided the proper context, provided the proper judgment layer, as I was talking about earlier. Where it really struggles is on, I would say, sort of thought leadership pieces. There still is some work to be done there, right? The uniqueness that you have, the unique original ideas that you have, all of those might need your editing and your drive, your initial draft first, and then AI can be used to refine it and polish it and so on and so forth. So I hope that kind of walks you through some of the elements of what we've noticed utilizing and creating content for the last 5 years that's AI generated. Lastly, so how does this overall compare, right? So what we did is we took the content engine that we produced and we stack ranked it against some of the other tools out in the marketplace. Sorry, let me go back. So while other tools in the marketplace don't do the judgment layer, right? They don't do the research component. Ours, as you saw, is pretty much automated for now in the MVP phase. It's done utilizing a couple things. And the main one is it looks at Google search results rankings and it says what's the top seven, the top 10, goes and reads it, processes it, and puts together the different angles that I showed you earlier in the demo, right? So where ours is different than others is you still manually have to do that phase. There's some other tools that are starting to tackle that problem, but they're just not to the robustness of ours where it reads it, synthesizes it, and is able to put sort of that initial outline together with all that information already taken into account. SEO strategy. So ours is built on actual patents. So we've gone and read the different patents. We've synthesized it. Whenever we've done any of the epics and the flows through our product manager and our engineering manager, we've taken those things into consideration. We've also taken into things the 10 to 15 years of doing wide hat SEO strategy and seeing what works and what doesn't work and what continuously works into the market and built a whole overall sort of a content production layer that's already SEO optimized out of the gate. Ours is really focused on content generation, including AI and citations, right? Others might be just generally on around AI. We do 100% full source attribution. So we actually find the original source, we link to it, as you saw in that particular section. So you're able to see where that link came from. You're able to utilize that as part of your interlinking. If anyone is randomly giving a quote within their article, we go out and we research it, we find it, and we find the original source and basically link to that as well too. So we do sort of this deeper dive of source attribution, getting to the original source, even on someone else's article in the competitive intelligence layer that we're looking at. In addition to, we have one-click publishing already done. We do have another microservice that we've built, which is called the integration service, which is for now it's designed for WordPress, but it allows us to be able to integrate into other platforms. Any platform with an API, it could integrate easily into. So it could allow your content to quickly move from platform A to platform B and so on and so forth. And because so it allows that component. Lastly, in other platforms we were utilizing ourselves, articles were taking anywhere between 45 minutes and 60 minutes, right? Here it's taking us somewhere between 20 minutes and so. And then in addition to that, cost per article obviously is drastically dropping down. Now, I earlier talked about how we built this. So we used Cursor as the main IDE. We used it in agent mode. We had multiple agents kind of concurrently running. If we have some time and there's questions around it, I can actually show you the interface. It was a little bit more technical, so I didn't want to kind of do that given the audience we have today. In addition to that, we use Claude Code and Claude APIs as well as OpenAI APIs as well as Gemini APIs as well too. So we used all different LLM model API codes and utilized that. We used MCP servers throughout this process in order to be able to pull data in, to do the research, to be able to create the BRDs, PRDs, TDDs, to be able to connect to GitHub. So all the different workflows we have and the way we actually are coding and vibe coding this content would not have been possible if MCPs were not around and the models had reached to the level that they are. And then finally, the tech stack itself is using a modern architecture, right? We're using Next.js, we're using Postgres SQL database, we're using typeface. It's all production quality. This is not a monolith code base. We have things created in microservices. We have backend completely broken out. We have front end completely broken out. We have database completely broken out. We have the authentication or user sign up as a microservice completely broken out. So we've looked at everything and we've thought about how do we go about creating sort of different microservices that could easily allow us to replicate and scale and continue to produce custom software and custom code, not just the content engine, but later on if we wanted to do media engine where we can go and create different imageries from banners to social posts to email, or if we wanted to do PPC engine, which could be how we create headlines and copies and integrate easily into Google Ads and Facebook and so on and so forth. So we really thought through how do we build sort of an AI vibe coded judgment layer level so that agencies can now utilize and really take advantage of what's available and do the transformational change from custom software that actually can produce and have high quality and really become a vibe marketing organization. So that was our general thought process here. So why do we build our own tools, right? So our thoughts are, I mean, to be honest, we spend a significant amount on SaaS products per employee that we have, and there's always something missing. There's always some version of customization that we're doing to try to work around the platform or the product that doesn't necessarily allow us to go end to end from beginning to end of any workflow. And this manual side of things made us realize that, hey, with what's happened, especially when skills came out. So in October, and really when skills came out, and in December when they became much more advanced, I'm talking about Anthropic skills, where it allowed us to start really building repeatable functions in theory on the coding side of things. It made us realize that, wow, we really can step up our capabilities as an agency and become sort of an AI first data driven growth agency and start building custom software that can really make an impact. So this is the transition we started, and here we are building out loud with you guys and showcasing to you guys what we were able to do in less than 30 hours, right? In total of 30 hours, we were able to get to this level. Now, what else is also starting to happen, right? So AI infrastructure, we believe, is a huge competitive advantage. And what we think is happening as the cost of building is going like to zero, what we really are also realizing as the world, even though for us in it every day, is changing so rapidly, the ones who are not in it are just hearing of it at a much later stage. So that this opportunity window gap is starting to get bigger and bigger. And the ones that are really digging into this, right? The ones that are vibe coding, the ones that are really going deep on building systems and creating this compounding effect are not only getting a running job, are getting now a sort of this snowball effect that they are really trying to separating themselves and are able to do more. They are starting to feel like they are inside of a video game, and everything that they are working on is becoming much more exciting and much more, they are much more capable of, right? So what we showed you in 30 hours was never possible before, right? So this is just the tipping point, we believe, of what can happen. And as we get better, and as people, as you yourself continue immersing yourself in building like this, you also will experience it, and you will see the unbound potential that's available, right? At the end of the day, we're also eating our own cooking. So we don't sit here and we're not building tools just for the sake of tools, right? At the end of this, I'm not going to try to sell you a SaaS subscription. We are building tools that we genuinely need to use within our agency, and we are building tools that will have an impact for all of our clients that work with us, so we can really drive scalable growth for them. So this is what we believe and what we are calling what an AI native agency should be and should look like. Mm. So one more question as we're getting closer to wrap up and to get into Q&As. So if you could spend a minute here and let me know what's interested you most so far of the webinar. Is it the platform capabilities? Do you want, if we allowed for a beta users for you to be, is it the technical build process? Are you genuinely curious and you want to see how this was done and you would love to spend some more time and dig into that? Is it working with an agency that builds AI tools so you can implement custom software within your own organization? And you can think about how a go-to-market custom software can enable you to move faster and quicker, or is it all of the above? So if you could spend a moment and answer this, that'd be great. Great. I want to open it up to Q&A. So let me see what's been asked so far. And while we're doing that, feel free to add a few questions there. Um, if our team will share a link with you as well, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn if you like. If you have any questions, if you're not already connected, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn and we can definitely chat more. If you are interested in working with an AI first agency, feel free to also schedule a strategy call to see if there's an overall fit. We are pretty selective on the type of clients we work with. We want to make sure that it's a fit overall. So if this is something that interests you, please go ahead and complete that as well too. And then lastly, and this is something we're not sure if we're going to do yet or not do, is but if you are interested in being part of the beta program, let us know as well too. And you can message us and let us know if that's something you are actively interested in. In addition to that, we were going to give you a type form question to fill out. So we will share that in the chat as well too. So if you can complete the type form questionnaire, this is really to make me a better presenter. This is, I think, webinar, Growth Labs webinar. I lost track, 16 maybe at this point. So all of the feedback that we've done and the thousands of people that have registered and attended our events, thank you so much for doing that. All of you that have completed the type form in the past, it really has hopefully helped us to become better at presenting and showcasing all of these different things to you. So if you guys can do all of that, I would really, really appreciate that. So before we get started, let me see what questions we have. Sona, if you can make sure, I see Kathy's asking, she didn't get the links. If you can make sure you share the Typeform link as well as the strategy call link with Kathy in the chat, that would be really, really great. Awesome. Thank you. So the next question, and then Devo is asking for beta program. Devo, for that one, when you do the type form questionnaire, I think there's a form in there that you can ask for that, and we will make sure we notate that. Again, if we do decide to do the beta program, we will reach out to you. It's something we're not considering at the moment, but if we do decide to, we will definitely reach out to you. Okay, so now going to the next question in the chat, that's where I'm starting. Avi said, this is great, powerful to see what the front end workflow. Can you share the application and development work done on the back end so we can understand how to replicate it in our own environment? Avi, great question. So I think I kind of answered a lot of it, but we have different microservices that are kind of working, and we've built different Python code. This is not just LLM models or an LLM layer. This is a full functioning system and application. If you have any more specific questions, we can definitely hop on a call. But this is not just a LLM wrapper, right? We have a whole backend system. We have middleware. We have different API endpoints that we're calling. So we have different things that we're potentially doing throughout this whole system. And we did all of this in 30 hours in 30 days. Okay. So the next one is, let me see what other question came up. Uh, doesn't look like any more in the chat. Let me see if there's any others. One second. Let me stop sharing so I can see the other side. Okay, great. Q&A. So one of the questions was, do you integrate this with SEO and paid, or like treat it separately? So right now it's treated separately. So Content Engine is really a content intelligence platform. It's designed to help you write your content for your website. It has nothing to do with paid, and that is the intention of this particular platform. We are building other different things that are specifically for paid. They just haven't been released yet. Maybe it'll be on one of the future webinars. So, but for now, this is predominantly for content. And then it's optimized for both SEO as well as GEO, right? Generative Engine Optimization. We've talked about SEO and GEO in prior webinars. So if that's of interest to you as well, we can send links to that, or you can go to our Growth Labs webinars section on our website, and you can see the different webinars and how to optimize for them. So what kind of content professional drives in the system and who becomes obsolete? So I don't think anyone becomes obsolete, right? So the real thing here is that humans will always continue be in the loop. I don't imagine that the judgment that a human has or the creativity that a human has will necessarily go away. It's the reality of what we've seen. I mean, we've been building uh, and utilizing AI for 5 years now, and it still needs that taste or judgment that a human has, and it's just a tool, right? So we believe the type of writers that will do much better with a tool like this are the ones that are naturally an A writer. An A writer will become a 50x A writer, right? So someone that is innately curious, that is very detail oriented, that has a good sense of how to make interesting hooks and lines and sentences to capture the reader's attention and draw them in, is going to have a field day with a tool like this, because they're going to be able to focus on that portion of their skill that naturally comes to them that an AI system will never be able to. But what an AI system will do the stuff that they're not, they get tired of, which is doing the research, understanding what other articles have been written, and remembering what all new content pieces have been done, and so on and so forth. Another question. We've invested in tools before that promised efficiency, but adoption became the issue. How do you make sure this doesn't just become another system people don't fully use? Oh, that's a fantastic question. So I think it's one of these things where once the whole data point is inside of it, right? Remember the content intelligence platform side of things. This tool not only knows all the articles you have written, it will continuously know those pieces. So as you produce new articles, it will be aware of that. It's also self-aware to go to your website and continue pulling information in. And it has the automatic integration with WordPress, so it's constantly bringing these new articles inside of the platform. And I think because of that, you no longer are in this like Google Doc world where you have drafts living in Google Doc, or this Chat GPT transformer world or Claude projects world where you have all of this loose broken article pieces that are kind of all over the place. And then you have to remember or go and do this research. So part of why we built the platform this way is to make the life of that initial section, that judgment section, much more easier and much more, let's say, stickier for adoptability, and ensure that it's aware and it's learning and it's continuously evolving as new content pieces are being written. If we were partnered with you, will this be a standalone content system or a part of a growth agency, including other things? So overall, at this stage, we are only really doing this for our clients. We're not necessarily opening this up as a beta user. It's just, we spent a lot of years, 5 years, crafting the way we produce content. And we've really looked at the limitations that our own internal process, which even though it's producing fantastic articles that are ranking and are geo optimized, we've really zoned in on where the gap was, and we wanted to solve our own internal gap to be able to provide our clients these newfound capabilities. So if you were to partner with us, we could definitely discuss it, but we also want to make sure it's a fit overall too. Let me see if there's any other questions. A few more other questions came through chat, so let me answer those. All right, so why do you use Cursor over Claude Code or Replit or Bolt or Lovable? Okay, so Matt, great question. I've been using Cursor with Claude Code, so it's integrated with the two. I like the IDE's capabilities and context memory. I love how it quickly can remember all of the code I have written. And I like the fact that I can have multiple different agents or chats running simultaneously. And for me to be able to have parallel flows going on, right? So I'm able to have sort of the backend engineer create overall the different API endpoints, while I have the front end engineer work on the general look and feel of what that's going to look like. So this allows me to move a little bit faster. While one chat is doing one thing, the other chat is doing another. And then I'm able to easily kind of integrate the two and reference the different chat pieces. So this is why I prefer it. It also makes it a lot easier for me to go inside of the code and really read it and understand what's happening. In addition to that, what I've noticed is I can create MCPs relatively easily. I can create little APIs that I can utilize for the different agents relatively quickly. I'm also simultaneously using Claude Code, right? So I have multiple workflows occurring, even though I said it's 1 hour. It's not 1 hour straight line, right? Like it's 1 hour with multiple agents. I think one, two, three, four at any given time usually are flowing and kind of are working at any given state. So I hope that answers your question, Matt. So Cervantes, do you take nonprofit client to create the website content AI engine? Cervantes, if you like, we can definitely chat about it. It depends on what the initiative is. We have worked with nonprofits before. That's just to be aligned overall with the objectives of the nonprofit and what you guys are trying to do, and ensure that it's aligned with our own values of an agency as well too. So Matt had a follow-up question. Do you find Cursor is good at front-end design, or do you need to do a lot of work in Figma or somewhere else? No, it's not great at front-end design. Great question, Matt. So it feels very vibe coded on the front-end design. We have integrated with MCPs with Figma, and we are in the process of building design systems. So this way, then you can actually call it through the MCP and utilize what design you've already created in Figma to be able to get much better, higher quality design. Okay, so I hope that answered that question. Let me see if there's any others available. Nothing there, and no other questions. So It's 11:50 now. If there are no other questions, we can wrap it up a little bit earlier. But if there are questions, I'll give another minute or so to you guys to ask. But everyone, I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. I hope at the very least you were able to see what's kind of potentially possible. And these hopefully will open your eyes and your creativity and make you think about the different things that you can be doing today. And hopefully at the very least motivate you to push you past your on that on your comfort levels, right? Like I do believe we are living in a very unique time and place that people with a growth mindset that are growth leaders that push themselves through this uncomfortable stage will really be able to do the things that they thought was unimaginable before, and it's something that they can definitely do today. Uh, People are asking, will we be sharing these things, the recording? Yes, we will be sharing the recording for everyone that registered and attended today. Uh, any other questions available? Doesn't look like it. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoy this. We will probably do more of these in the near future. We do love building out loud, and it does motivate us. So you might see content engine version post MVP 2.0. Or if there's genuine interest, we are actively building PPC engine. I know that was one of the questions that came out where we're trying to tackle that. We're also going to be working on CRM and email in the near future as well too. So everybody, thank you for coming out today. We hope you enjoy the presentation and have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.